The Witch in the Woods. It was a cold October evening when I decided to take a shortcut through the forest on my way home from work. My shift had ended late, and by the time I left, it was already dark outside. The air smelled damp, and the trees seemed taller than usual as they loomed over me like silent sentinels. I didn't think much of it at first, it's just a forest, right? But things took a turn for the worse faster than I could have ever imagined. I was walking along what I thought was an old trail when I realized something wasn't right. The path underfoot felt uneven, almost unnatural, like it wasn't meant to be walked on. Then, out of nowhere, I heard a sound of faint whisper carried by the wind. At first, I dismissed it as leaves rustling or maybe even my imagination playing tricks on me. But then the whispers grew louder, clearer, almost deliberate. It sounded like someone or something was calling my name. Evan. Evan. My heart raced. No one knew I was here. No one should have been able to call me by name. I stopped dead in my tracks and spun around, scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. Nothing. Just the endless sea of shadows between the trees. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was probably just stress getting to me after a long day. So I kept moving forward, hoping to find my way back to the main road. But the further I went, the stranger everything became. The trees twisted unnaturally, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands trying to grab me. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense canopy above, leaving me surrounded by near-complete darkness. And those whispers, they never stopped. They followed me everywhere, growing more insistent with each step. Then came the laughter. It started soft, almost childlike, but there was something wrong about it. It wasn't playful. It was hollow, empty, and filled with malice. The sound echoed all around me, bouncing off invisible walls that made the woods feel smaller, tighter, suffocating. That's when I saw Hera, at least. I think I did. She appeared suddenly, standing just a few feet ahead of me, blocking my path. She wore a tattered black dress that hung loosely from her frail frame, and her hair was wild, tangled, and matted with dirt. Her face was pale, almost translucent, with deep-set eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. She looked ancient, yet her movements were fluid, almost graceful, as if she didn't belong to this world anymore. "Who are you?" I demanded, though my voice trembled despite my best efforts to sound brave. She tilted her head slightly, studying me like I was some kind of curious insect. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, her voice low and raspy, like dry leaves crunching beneath boots. "This is not your place." "I'm just trying to get home," I replied, taking a cautious step backward. "Let me pass." Her lips curled into a sinister smile. "Home? Oh dear boy, you'll never see your home again." Panic surged through me. Without thinking, I turned and ran. Branches slapped against my face, roots tripped me up. But I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Behind me, I could hear her cackling, her voice echoing through the forest like thunder. Every few seconds, I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting her to be right behind me. But she wasn't, or at least, I couldn't see her. Eventually, I stumbled into a clearing where the moonlight finally broke through the canopy. In the center stood an old stone circle, moss-covered and cracked with age. For some reason, it gave me hope. If I could make it to the other side of the clearing, maybe I'd find another path out of the woods. Maybe I'd escape her. As I crossed the clearing, I noticed something strange etched into the stones. Runes, perhaps? Symbols I didn't recognize. Before I could examine them closer, I felt a sharp pain in my ankle. I looked down to see thorny vines wrapping tightly around my leg, pulling me toward the ground. I struggled to break free, but the more I fought, the tighter they squeezed. And then she was there again, standing just beyond the circle, watching me with that same unsettling grin. "Foolish boy," she hissed. "Did you really think you could outrun me?" Tears streamed down my face as I screamed for help, though I knew no one would hear me. The vines pulled harder now, dragging me closer to the center of the circle. As my vision began to blur, I caught one last glimpse of her before everything went black. She raised her arms to the sky, muttering words in a language I didn't understand. Lightning flashed overhead, illuminating her grotesque form. When I woke up, I was lying on the edge of the forest, shivering and disoriented. My clothes were torn and my body ached all over. It took me hours to find my way back to civilization. But eventually, I made it home. That was 3 months ago. Since then, strange things have been happening. Objects move when I'm not looking. Shadows flicker in the corners of my vision. And sometimes, late at night, I swear I can still hear her laughing, that same hollow, menacing laugh that haunts my dreams. I haven't gone back to the forest since. And I never will. Because somewhere deep inside, I know she's still out there waiting for me. Waiting for the day I slip up and return to her domain. And when that happens, well, let's just say I don't think I'll be coming back this time.